Hey everyone, it's Than from DMing the World, and I wanted to show you guys a new game that's about to come out called Dragonbane from Free League. You may have seen the Kickstarters on this. I just got my physical copy here, and I'm doing a write-up that'll be out next week, but wanted to just do a quick unboxing to show you what is in the box. So the first thing we've got when we open up the box are the nice Dragonbane dice. You'll notice on the dice, take one of the 20s out here, that these have, on the 20, they have a demon there, and on the 1, they've got a dragon. And that comes into play in Dragonbane because the crits are in reverse. You want to get a 1 on a d20. That's good. You want to roll a dragon, and a demon, a natural 20, is actually bad. So the dice actually have that component there built into them, so it's easy to remember, but you obviously can use these for regular 5th edition D&D or any other D20 based system as well. So next up, we've got 4 different decks of cards here, and these can be used as part of your regular play. Some of these are just for on the fly random draws, and some of these are used as part of the regular play. You can also use them in the solo game as well. That comes in the box, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But first off, you've got your initiative deck. This is actually how initiative is done in Dragonbane. You deal out a hand of initiative cards. It tells you what you can do on that turn, and then at the end of a round, you take them up and you deal them back out again, and you go in order from least to greatest. So the initiative is very fluid in Dragonbane, and you can actually swap these out with people if you want to hold a turn or things like that as well. So very cool, very neat way to do initiative there. On the second deck here, the adventure deck, this is the different adventures that are available if you're playing through the campaign. As the players receive their quests, you can hand these out to them, and it kind of just gives a quick reminder of what quests they have available. Very, very handy to keep track of those, because the campaign is sort of a sandbox style campaign. This was kind of fun. This is just improvised weapons that can be found in different areas. So we've got forests, caves, and inns. If you are looking around for an improvised weapon and you find something, you can, if you're in an inn, you can pick up a boiling cauldron, where you can throw the boiling water, and everyone within a cone suffers 2d6 damage. And there's lots of different ones: bucket of soapy water, burning firewood, rummaging pig, so on and so forth. So that's a fun little deck there. And then lastly, we've got the treasure deck here. This is really handy for just kind of drawing on the fly. What kind of treasure is found. This is used in the solo game, but it's also used in the campaign as well. Just draw a card and they get what treasure's on the card. Some of this is pretty straightforward. You can also get things like a gemstone, and you'll roll to see what kind of gemstone you find, and also what it's worth. So just a quick handy way to generate treasure very quickly as you're going through the adventures. Okay, next up, there's just a little welcome here about how to get started with Dragonbane, deciding who the game master is, and then everybody can either pick one of the pre-generated characters, or you can start working on building out your own. And then it just kind of goes through all the details about what's in the box there. Just one-sided, just a quick little letter from Free League. So next up, we've got the rules for Dragonbane. This is soft cover, and you'll see in the review, comes out next week, that the rules are pretty straightforward. If you're familiar with 5th edition at all, you're going to be somewhat ready ahead of time to play this. It's a fairly short learning curve there. But they've also got a lot of random tables, the bestiaries. One note on the bestiaries, the monster stats are extremely light. This is the stat block, and then over here you have what the monster does, and you kind of roll randomly every time and see what happens. So it makes GMing monsters very easy. Okay, next up we've got the adventure book. This is the campaign book that comes with Dragonbane. It gives you really everything that you need to play through the setting, to get a good familiarization with it. You're pretty much playing in a single area that gives you the ability to kind of journey around it and find different adventures. A little bit of backstory there, and then the place is called the Misty Vale. The box actually comes with a map of Misty Vale in a minute, and we'll look at that as well. But this is everything you need to play through the story that comes with it. It's all self-contained. Obviously, you can write your own adventures for Dragonbane as well, just like you know any role-playing system. It's not a RPG in a box type situation. It's ongoing if you choose to do so. This is the solo campaign that I mentioned earlier. It gives you everything you need to run a solo game, specifically in Deepfall Breach, but also it gives you the basics for running a solo game for whatever setting you want to do it in. This is actually a really fun little solo rule system. There's several out there right now, and this is one of the ones I'm really enjoying. I played through several of these in my run-up to my review, and it's just very quick, on the fly, very auto-generated as you play through. I mentioned in the review, it's almost like playing a roguelike video game, but in your mind. If you can't find a group that wants to play Dragonbane with you, this is still worth it, because you can actually play this on your own and get quite a bit of fun out of it. All right, and here is that map of Misty Vale that I was talking about. Beautifully illustrated, lots of good detail. Also gives you a good idea of where things are. It's also a piece of artwork, right? So things aren't necessarily to scale, but it gives you a sense of where things are. And that's really the main thing with the way that this adventure runs is you're not necessarily worried so much about your, hex crawling per se. It's more location crawling, but there are rules for journeying in between each of these places. Outskirt there is your main town, where your home base. And while it's not on the map here, this little crack here, that is Deepfall Breach. You can find the actual location about it in the adventure, but that is where all of the solo adventure campaign takes place. You delve down into the breach. It continues, deep underground, and you look for treasure and then come back out. There's all types of ways that ruins and things like that can show up underneath there. So that is sort of your yawning portal for Dragonbane. Your hole in the ground that lets you go into the deep dungeons underneath. Okay, continuing on with the maps. Next thing up is just a nice battle grid for handling combat. It's double-sided. This kind of looks like the exterior location, and this is dungeon grid. Just nice. It's not huge, but it's enough that you can run some basic combat in there with the standees that come, and we'll show those off here in a second. All right, so next up are the pre-generated characters. There's several of these. They're front and back. Yes, you can play a wolfkin in this. If you are, if you always want to play a werewolf or a wolf person, this is your chance. You gotta look at the general layout here. You still have all of the attributes that look familiar for the most part. Slightly different names there, but you've also got your different conditions that you can have. Your skills, there's a lot more skills. It's a very skill-based game. Even things like your weapons are skill rolls in this. Inventory, there is an encumbrance limit, and that does factor into the game some, so you will be running with encumbrance some. And then willpower and hit points. These are both, hit points are pretty self-explanatory, but willpower is what you use to fuel your abilities that you have. And we'll go into more of that when we get into the review on the Dimming the World website. But that's one there. That's Bastion Bloodjaw, the Wolfkin. We've got a Halfling. We've got a Mallard. Dragonbane does have the duck race. That's sort of a long-standing tradition of RuneQuest and other RPGs from the 80s. There's your elf. Your wizard here, Archmaster Eodon. This is one of the interesting things about Dragonbane is you can actually play, an elderly character. There are rules for it, and they're just as viable a player option as someone that's very young as well. And then there's just the blank character sheet. You get several of these, which are very nice, very well designed, very well illustrated character sheets. You can also get PDFs of these on Free League's site for free if you want to print off more. And then lastly, we've got the cardboard standees. You may have noticed at the top of the video, we had these little plastic stand-ups. That's what these were for. And there's several sheets of these, basically for every creature that is in the basic book there. So you've got one of each there, or a few if you're talking about goblins, as well as the pre-generated characters, and a few extras there as well. I love this guy right here. But just, it's that great artwork that is found throughout Dragonbane. And you can pop these out and use these on the battle mat. Hopefully there will be more miniatures or something like that to eventually go to support this as well. But the cardboard standees are fun. Definitely has a very 80s vibe to it as well. And that is a lot of what Dragonbane is sort of a callback to some of the classic retro RPGs from decades past. So that's it, everybody. That is everything that comes in Dragonbane. Well worth the money. You get a lot of material in there, and it definitely harkens back again to that retro 80s vibe where you get a boxed set that has a ton of stuff, everything you need to play an RPG. You don't have to go get anything else. Everything you need is in the box. Very reminiscent of old, classic red box D&D or things like that. Notice at the bottom it says Mirth and Mayhem role-playing. It's one of the things that I like the most about Dragonbane. It definitely has a sword and sorcery vibe to it, where it's, big stakes of epic proportions, but at the same time you're just a little person in a big world, and there's a little bit of levity to it as well, and I think you're going to find that's going to be something that's kind of refreshing if you're looking for that. If you don't want something that's quite so serious, you can definitely be very serious with this. It's got some dark elements to it, but it's also a lot of fun. I mean, obviously you can play ducks, right? So check this out. Look for our review coming out next week, and look for the box set from Free League being available in August. So coming soon. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.